Hello there and welcome. Today's video is going to be a bit of a tea talk, which it says in the description. I got my tea here for, because this is more so going to be about my experiences, and in the other videos that I do that aren't tea talks and like stuff like that, are more of giving my advice from like, I don't know, sort of like not trying to give as much as my experience, but this is more about my experience, me talking about myself. So that is the distinction, because I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I really get into talking more about myself in some of the videos, even though I really try not to. Like, I'll give an example or an experience or something like that, but this is more so about my journey. And I really wanted to talk about the journey that I've been on, I think since December of last year. And it was really a time where I got more disciplined. I took like my growth really seriously, and I sort of, one day, it was December 8th, and I remember making the video about it because I just watched it back because it's been 6 months since then. And I was sort of just reflecting on, the past 6 months. But in that video, it was like later in the day, and I saw something on Twitter, I think, and it was like, use like this next 3 months to get like really disciplined. And I started thinking, like, why have I not been doing that? Like, why have I not been taking myself seriously? Why? Like, just why? I started asking why. And that was really when I noticed like the patterns that I had been repeating, the ways that I really wasn't putting myself first in my life, and I was sort of making excuses for things. I wasn't putting my full effort. I was really listening to fears, and I was letting those take control of my life. So this video was just about like my 6 months, basically, of sort of when I started this channel. It was probably a couple weeks after that. I think I started in November, and things were fine for a little while. And really, when I said like December 8th that I wanted to change my life, the universe was like, sure, like, you got it. And it just kind of like, it was a revelation after tower moment after tower moment after shadow work after shadow. Like, it was just all of this mostly through February. And it was a lot of headaches. Like, it was constant headaches that I was experiencing. And I also wasn't very active on here, which is now, why I wasn't very active. There's a gap of time where I wasn't really on here. And it was also figuring out what I could offer. Like, I feel like I know that, and have known that I've wanted to help people in some way, and I've wanted to share my experience in some way, but I didn't really know how to do that. I didn't know what angle to come at that from. And I think like through January and February, I had like ideas for like YouTube videos and stuff, and I have them in voice memos on my phone still. But I didn't really, again, know what aspect to come at them from, and I didn't know how to really express what I was thinking. And then I think the more that I came on here, and I sort of had the idea in my journal, I think what day it was, I was sort of like just going through my notebook now. It really started as more of like a journal and a diary, and just things that I was thinking about, ideas that I had, today was a pretty meh day. Just my things. And then at some point it turned into, as I was journaling and as I was sort of just like going with the flow, following my intuition, like I say all the time to do, it really started making sense on March 12th, that I got my ideas to be focusing on authenticity and vulnerability and being yourself, because I feel like, again, well, there's only one of you, first off. And I feel like we're at a time where like we're craving authenticity and we're craving like connection with people. I feel like as things become like, everything is like AI and like not, I don't know, I have my own opinions about AI, but I feel like people are looking to AI and Chat GPT for like connection and for real authentic connection with people, and to be honest with people, and to feel understood. So I don't know, I think the more that I was like journaling and stuff, the more it became apparent to me that that is just what I should be sharing. I should be sharing my journal entries and things I reflect on. And because they're not just journal entries. It's not like, oh, today was a terrible day and I hate this person, I hate that person. But it's just more of things that I notice, and it's more pattern recognition and things that I've been honest with myself about, which I feel like, could help other people. I hope they can help other people in some way. That is what I feel like is my passion and my purpose here, in some aspect. But yeah, so more onto my journey. This sweater is just shedding like crazy. But yeah, I will actually read what I wrote for my journal entry. Last December was when I really took my growth and my healing seriously. I'd gone to therapy in the past and recognized certain parts of myself, but it wasn't until I really looked at myself in the mirror and thought, what am I actually doing with my life? That got me to get really serious about my life. I had like an out-of-body experience, and I recognized all of the ways I wasn't being true to myself. And again, this was when that day in December where I was just like, it just kind of came over me when I was like, what am I doing with my life and why is it this? Because I was unhappy. I had allowed other people to have such a large role in my life, people who hurt me and didn't really deserve to be a thought in my mind. My world revolved around the pain that they had caused me, and I spent so much energy focusing on the past that I forgot about the present. And oftentimes when I sit here and reflect for each video, I do think a lot about my past and my story. That always comes up, and this is something that I work on. Healing. I wrote here, healing isn't linear, nor does it have an end. And it can come up a lot. Like healing comes up a lot when I reflect on certain things, when I think back on my story, like other things can pop up and I can sit with things for a while, and I can also let those thoughts kind of spiral out of control, which is something that I am still working on doing. Again, I'm not perfect. I come at this like with experience, not saying that like, oh, I know exactly what you should do, listen to me, but like I'm still working through it myself too. And I'm still learning from everything that I tell myself, everything that I talk about in these videos. I still take every single piece of that into my own life. Again, these are just, every video that I do, everything that I make is just my own reflection and my own journal entries. So again, these are things that I'm reflecting on in real time, that I'm working through in real time about myself and about my life. So if they're not helping anybody, they're definitely helping me. But I hope they're helping somebody. That is the point of this, to share what I've experienced and to sort of, I know we all have our own journeys and we all learn things in certain times. And sometimes we do have to go through a lesson multiple times in order to get it. But if I can help, alleviate any of that energy, not wasting, again, I don't want to call it wasting, but if I can help in any way, point blank period. But I don't want my past to define me or my future, going back to my notes. So when I got really real about my healing last year, I kind of paused and asked myself, why have I been treating myself this way? I know I'm capable of more, so why am I not acting like it? That was like what I was saying to myself. I was like, what the heck? And I recorded a video of myself on December 8th to be more disciplined with my energy instead of making excuses for myself. January and February turned into such deeply transformative months for myself, like I was saying at the beginning. I sort of went down a rabbit hole of recognizing my patterns, my excuses, and how I wasn't acting fully in my authenticity. I really sat with myself and figured out, which I've said in other videos, like the 10 journal prompts that I literally did. And they were things that maybe I didn't exactly write down. Sometimes they were sort of about my goals in that sense. But they were things that I recognized about myself, that I went through the things that in my life, like mentally, that I liked, I didn't like, things that I experienced and I didn't like, things I experienced and I did like, things I want to experience more of, and things in times where I wasn't the nicest person, times where I let my ego take control and I really did things out of hurt and, in ways to hurt other people. And I really was honest with myself about that. And I'm always honest with myself about that today, like as I reflect more and do these videos and other things come up. And it's also feeling my feelings, allowing myself to feel my feelings, because I went through a lot of my life being told that I was too sensitive. I was, taking everything too personally. I was this, I was that. And after I heard that for so long, I honestly like stopped focusing on my feelings. And, you know, I would have friendships, I would get into relationships where I didn't know how to express my feelings because I was told for so long that like when I did have those feelings and when I did express myself, then nobody around me wanted to hear them. So it was really, really tough. It was tough to stop doing that. And it was tough to understand that I can be around people and I can express myself. And if I'm expressing myself to somebody and they don't want to hear it, that isn't somebody that I have to be around. And I really had to teach myself that because I had made myself small for so long and held in my feelings and neglected to even really feel things or even express things or even say like I was upset about something. And that when I was finally like upset enough, it would all kind of come out, which was unhealthy. And I had to recognize that too, that like I was just saying, I don't even know where all that came from, but being around people who make you feel small doesn't, like, you don't have to be around those people. That isn't okay. People who don't want to listen to you speak, people who don't want to hear your problems, but also are coming to you when they have problems. That's not okay. That's not healthy. That's fine. And you don't have to make yourself smaller. You can express yourself however is comfortable for you and know that you will find your people in life. You might be alone for a little while, and that doesn't mean you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. It's probably, in the grand scheme of things, going to feel like just a little blip of time where you are alone by yourself before you find the right people that you are going to feel like you authentically connect with and that authentically understand you and care about you. So you don't have to make yourself smaller to make other people feel comfortable. And that is, again, something that I am still learning, and it's something that I have had to feel unapologetically comfortable with. That telling somebody, hey, this hurt my feelings, and even if they brush it off, that has nothing to do with me, because if I express myself in a respectful way, if I didn't, then that's on me. But as long as I'm expressing myself in a respectful way, and I'm saying to somebody, hey, like, this hurt my feelings when you said this, it was kind of mean, it was blah, blah, what made me feel this, whatever. And, if they don't want to hear it, that's on them. That shouldn't be, a sign for me to stop talking and to stop expressing myself, because I used to do that, and I shut down for a very, very long time. When I was younger, I used to always express my feelings. I remember, like, if something didn't feel right, like what I was wearing, I would say something. If something was, whatever it was, if I was uncomfortable in any way, I would always speak up about it. But yeah, as I got older and as less people wanted to listen to me, I stopped talking about it as much. And I'm learning now that my sensitivity is part of me. It isn't a weakness. It is who I am, and it is, it's a gift. The more I've leaned into my sensitivity, the more I've realized that, like, I don't know if, like, I want to call it psychic or sixth sense or whatever, but I can feel things and recognize things sometimes before they even happen. Like when I can get like really in tune with like the energy around me and really sensitive to what's going on, I can see how things are going to play out. And maybe that is also just pattern recognition, which I talk about a lot too. That healing and stuff like that, and really recognizing things about yourself, is recognizing those patterns and where you have let them persist, where you've let them keep going even though they're unhealthy, and how to put a stop to them. But yeah, that has been a lot of my journey these past 6 months, is recognizing patterns and coming at it in a way that, like, I can also recognize that and teach another person. And yeah, basically come on here and teach that, and, do it in other ways, in other medias, other platforms and stuff like that. But yeah, all of that recognition, everything that I've recognized about myself, all those patterns and everything, became what my channel is now. I decided to stop procrastinating that day, and I've developed such a strong sense of self because of that, just by being honest with myself and recognizing that I wasn't putting my best foot forward. I was just in fear of making other people uncomfortable, of just more that I'll also get into too. But I was really asking myself why in every scenario. Why I liked something, why I didn't like something, why I held certain beliefs, why I allowed certain people and their opinions to have such control over my life and my decisions, why I was so comfortable letting people tell me what to do and what they thought I was made for. And I realized I was so unhappy. I wasn't where I wanted to be in life, and I didn't know what to do, but I was asking myself all these questions and answering them honestly. I didn't know exactly where to go, but I knew that asking questions and being honest with myself was the first step. And asking myself again why I kept this idea, this, reality replaying in my life that wasn't actually what I was happy with. It wasn't what I enjoyed. It wasn't where I saw myself, and it just wasn't what I wanted at the end of the day. I had certain beliefs and insecurities because I was raised with them. I wasn't taught to believe in myself or have ambitious goals. So I kept it small, even though my entire being craved more, and even though I wanted to do more with my life and I wanted to get out of this box, that I was basically told, like, this is where you reside. This is it. This is what you've got to work with. Like, good luck. Here you go. Goodbye. But I've always felt like I was built and made for more than that. And even like in like job positions and career wise and stuff like that, and what I was supposed to be, moving towards, and certain things that wouldn't work out for me, certain things that would work out for me because they were just what everybody around me was used to. They didn't want me moving over here because it was like there was too much fear, there was too much uncertainty. I wasn't allowed over here, where even though I was like most passionate over here, and that's like over here is just like designing and enjoying stuff, enjoying art, and things that people didn't really see being like a valuable, vital, what's the word, like just an actual career path, something that they could take seriously. They didn't really see that for me, which is crazy because like we all wear clothes, we all live in houses, we all design houses, we all want to, like people design their homes and do like home makeover stuff on their own, like DIY stuff. I almost said the other word for stuff. But yeah, it's like we all do that. Like, why would that not be a serious career? Because like we all, like, I don't know why they said that. I don't know why I believed that for so long. And it wasn't also that I didn't believe it. I was just afraid of putting 110% into something because, again, I was told I wouldn't make anything of myself. I was told that, that wouldn't work out if I went over into whatever area, like where I wanted to go. I was told that it wouldn't work out and that I would see like no benefit from it. And I didn't really try to prove anything wrong because like it just seemed like so sure that that wasn't gonna work out, even though I saw like the people around me, like in school and in college and stuff, thriving and being successful with that. It just felt like it was such a long shot, basically. So I only gave like 50% of every project of every day in school. I didn't really want to put my full effort into something, and being wrong about it would really suck. I also was kind of afraid of it actually working out. Like if it actually worked out, that was kind of scary. And so I didn't really, put my full effort into anything that I did. And I didn't know how to act or nurture something that went well for me because all I knew was the opposite. All I knew was, again, that it wasn't going to work out for me. It wasn't going to be this. It wasn't going to be that. Just all negative things that I was just like believing. And I was scared of the other side of that because it would have meant that people were wrong, that the people I listened to, the people I looked up to were wrong and were steering me away. And that was upsetting, which is something that I'm coming to terms with now. Like the past 6 months, the past year has been something that I've been coming to terms with. And, just the honesty and the realness about that sometimes people can want us to be in certain places because it is hard for them to see us somewhere else. It means maybe that they lack access to us. It might mean that, the relationship changes, that, people go non-contact. I'm not saying that like that's what's happening, but that is like a possibility. that can be terrifying for people when like if I just believed in myself. And where am I in my notes? If I got something good, I'd end up ruining it. This is what I felt like, or ending it in some way. So I didn't even try to reach for those golden opportunities that I truly wanted. But after living like this for so many years, I realized the good things I wanted weren't happening for me because I was playing it small. And the people who told me I wouldn't make anything of myself didn't seem too concerned that I was struggling. So I was making myself small, hating everything about life, because I was playing it small and I wasn't being the person that I really knew I could be. And I didn't obviously know what extent that I could be. Like, I didn't envision like this version of myself because, again, I didn't know that any of that existed. I didn't know that any of those good things existed, that you could be happy and you can be financially secure, you can be emotionally secure, you can be mentally, spiritually secure, you can have everything, and that is possible. That is possible to have. That when you are truly like getting out of your fears, getting out of your comfort zone, when you stop doing something that you are so comfortable doing and not seeing the results that you want, that you can do something differently. Like, that was terrifying to realize. And it was also terrifying to realize that I like held the key to do that. That like I was stuck in this room, but I had the key to get myself out of it. And, you know, it was, like I was saying, it was heartbreaking that the people, you know, around me who were saying I couldn't make anything of myself didn't seem concerned when I was struggling, because I was still, again, in that box that they put me in. And it was like the people closest to me. It was the people who came to me when they needed help, but didn't stick around long enough to know if I needed it too. So last December, I got so brutally honest with myself about all of this, especially how I've allowed the disappointments to hold me back. And it really, really sucks for the people closest to you, to not believe in you. But allowing that disappointment to run your life is exactly what they want. They want you to stay in that box. They want you to stay small, keep it safe, don't do anything, you know, out of the ordinary that they're going to think is weird, or, you know, just out of your skill set, even if they don't really know what your skill set is. Because one of the things that I find interesting is that, you know, the people who say that I can't really do this or can't do that have not at all gotten to know me. Like, they're people that judge me before even asking me a question about what I'm doing, why I'm making that decision. You know, it would make a lot more sense, but there's so much fear that they have about what I'm doing in the first place that, you know, they're not even going to ask questions, because it just like the whole sense of it is just foreign, which again is like another thing that I've recognized about the people closest to me. It's another like pattern thing that I've just come to terms with, which is like, it just gets so frustrating to me that you are judging me before you're even asking me anything about myself. Like, you could get to know me and it would make so much more sense, but you are more comfortable judging me and like being upset on your own. Like, I'm not going back and forth with you, like arguing with you to get you to see my side. Like, I'm not going to put the energy into that. I just, like, if you want to judge me, go ahead. But again, you haven't gotten to know me at all. So that is just something that I've recognized and find so interesting, just about my life and just kind of the world in general. It's just interesting. So again, I don't really put much effort into trying to change people's minds. If they think of me one way, great. I know who I am. I know, you know, I'm learning my skills. I don't know them fully yet. I'm developing them and I'm recognizing them as I get to know myself better and better each day. But I'm not going to try to get you to understand my life. Again, if you're not interested in getting to know it, if you are not asking me questions, if you're not getting to know me, especially if you're close to me and you've known me for so long, that like this version of me is like threatening to you, but you've never, like, you don't ask a person how they're doing. Like, why would you know what they're doing? And why would you even choose to judge what they're doing if you have no idea why they're doing what they're doing? You don't know what that person's skill set is. Like, it's wild to me. But yeah. And I stopped telling the people around me what I was doing until I was done with it. I didn't, like, ask people for their opinions, because part of why I held myself back for so long was because I was asking for their opinions. I was asking for, you know, their, like, what they thought of this, what they thought of that. And usually what I wanted to do, like how I thought of something, like I would have a preconceived idea about something, about whatever I wanted to do or my opinion on something. And if I would go to ask somebody else, they would say the exact opposite of what I was already thinking. So I just always went with like what I wanted to do anyway. So like sort of like at some point when I became really, really comfortable about like my decision making and my intuition, my opinions and everything like that, I would sort of ask people just to sort of test myself, to see if I was going to do what I really felt like was right for me. And I would do it. But like, it was just interesting that like people, again, didn't really know me very well, but always had opinions about what I should be doing, which was the opposite of what I felt like I should be doing. So it's just interesting. At the end of the day, just do what feels comfortable for you. And not everybody has to understand. Not everybody has to agree. And, you know, you can keep that to yourself. You can keep working on something silently to yourself, quietly to yourself. And then your success and your, you know, the physical manifestation of everything that you've been doing and putting your work into is going to, you know, be the indicator of what decision you've made. Instead of like going to other people, you just let your work, you know, just, what is the word? I don't even know. Speak for itself. You let your work speak for itself instead of always telling people, you know, or having to convince people. You don't, when you're comfortable with yourself, you don't have to be convincing people to understand you, to like you. Like I said, your work just speaks for itself. And it is what it is. But yeah, I was listening to people whose lives I would never trade mine for in a million years. So when that became like really real to me, I was like, you know, why am I even listening to these people? I wouldn't want to be in their life. I wouldn't want anything that they have. So why am I even listening to them? And that is when it clicked for me. My decision is the only one that matters in my life. My intuition is the only thing I listen to, and it's never steered me wrong. And I've talked about this in other videos, but your intuition and your anxiety, your fear, those are two different things. Your intuition is more of like a calming voice. It is sort of, it can sort of come out of nowhere sometimes. Like my intuition, I will just get a thought about something, and it's very, very calming. It isn't something that's screaming, which is what your anxiety and your fear is. Your anxiety will come from, that car was moving really slow, but your anxiety will come from a place of fear, and it will be telling you to do things that are very, very loud, you know, will be telling you in a loud and aggressive way. So that is the difference. It is a different tone of voice between your intuition and your anxiety. And, you know, that is why I listen to my, I almost said I listen to my anxiety. I listen to my intuition every single time. It's never steered me wrong. It's gotten me exactly where I need to be in my life. And also like that knowing and that gratitude that everything is happening the way it's supposed to. And that has also kind of kept me afloat. I've said this before, but like if I allowed certain things to get to me and I didn't think that there was like some greater reason behind it, even though people think that's delusional or whatever, I would not be alive. I would have let that get to me so long ago, like maybe 15 years ago, I would have let that get to me and I would not be here today. So if I wasn't being, again, delusional like people say, I would not be here talking to you and looking this pretty right now. So, even though my decision making doesn't make sense to the people around me who wanted me to play small, I'm finally content with how I spend my energy. I'm not afraid of standing out, putting my opinions and my face out there, literally, or taking up space. I tried that and I was miserable. I tried to make myself small. I tried to make myself comfortable and quiet. Not myself comfortable, but I tried to make everybody else comfortable, even though I was uncomfortable. I tried to be quiet because I thought that's just who I was. Like I thought, you know, I just didn't like to talk. I was really introverted. Like all of these things about me were taught for me to be in this box. Like, in order to be in this box, in order to, just kind of coast through life, you had to be quiet and you had to be small. But that isn't who I was. Again, I tried that and I was miserable because I knew I was meant for more. And now I'm living it day by day. I'm getting more comfortable talking and looking at myself. I could never talk or even listen to the sound of my voice on videos, even like a year or two ago before I started posting. But there was always this voice inside of me that was saying, like, and just like this passion and this desire to come on here and like express myself and to talk about the things that I've learned, to talk about the things that I've experienced. So, it's been a process, and it's something that I'm still learning to this day. I'm still learning as I'm reflecting and, learning more about my story to teach things and to talk about them to other people. Again, I don't have all the keys to life, but I do think that when you are listening to your intuition and you're doing what feels right to do, that is basically one of them. And I feel like that's just at the core. Like, when you are doing things that feel right to you and listening to your gut, your inner voice, keeping your power to yourself, figuring out and determining where you want your energy to go and being really, really picky about that. Be as picky as you can, and give it out where you see fit. I think those are like the keys, at least that I've figured out at my old young age. But taking your power, your energy, your mind back to yourself means that no one else can dictate how you live your life. You have that control. You have all that control in yourself, and you've taken that back. You are making your decisions for yourself, and it's very, very freeing. It's very liberating, but it's also kind of scary because people can also look at you a little bit differently, especially if it's people like that you are taking your power back from and that you are not putting so much energy into. Because, not saying like you need to cut everybody off in your life, and I've said this before, like there's a difference between having those healthy connections and also recognizing unhealthy connections and taking your energy back from them, and noticing that like where the energy is not reciprocated in a situation or a relationship, and doing something about that. So when you do that, people can get upset because they knew you as one person, and that this new person you are and that you have become, and that you are most comfortable with, not meaning that you are doing it to like get back at anybody, but the person that you are comfortable as your truest self, that can bother some people because, again, they knew you in one way, and that this new way is just like not going to cut it for them because they were used to getting what they could get from you for so long that now they kind of have to do it themselves. And that's a little bit scary to them. That's like, now they're going to be angry at you. So, that doesn't really have anything to do with you. As long as you've done it like respectfully, and like you've laid those boundaries and stuff like that, and you've just done what feels right to you. Like, they can react however they want. If they want to do the work on themselves and recognize like, wow, like maybe I am taking some of their energy and I'm not really reciprocating it. Maybe that's something that they can, think back on themselves. But again, that's not your job. That is not, unless they're paying you for it, but that's not something you have to worry about. It's never too late to get your energy back by understanding where you lost it and where you have put your energy that does not deserve it, and understand what feels right for you and go towards that every single day. Listening to, your little intuition, your little tiny, calm, peaceful voice in your ear, your little angel and your devil, you're going to listen to that little angel of your intuition. Every day, do what feels best to you. And it is also like not judging that, like I'm talking angel and devil, your intuition and your anxiety. It's not judging your anxiety. It is understanding it, and also like calmly not listening to it, not letting it take control. So yeah, that is my little talk, my little everything that I've basically gone through the past 6 months, because I honestly haven't talked to anybody about it. Because it's just, this is a 37-minute video. I'm at 37 now. I think I'm going to cut it down to, I think I started at like 35. But still, it's a 35-minute video of just me talking. And I could even go on for more. And I feel like that isn't exactly something that I think the people around me, just knowing them, like would understand and would kind of listen to. And it would be, you know, I talk to it about the people that I feel right talking to it about, which again, I have that discernment and I have that recognition about who will want to listen to me. And if they don't really want to listen to me in that aspect, I'm not going to share that part with them. Like, and I've said it before, like figuring out where people go in your life and, you know, placing them in our lives where they belong and where we think is the right place for them. Not exactly cutting everybody out. Like if you do all like the healing and like, you know, you're growing and you're figuring out that like, man, like this person's been taking advantage of me for 20 years and I don't really want to be friends with them anymore. Not exactly like cutting people off cold turkey. If that is the phrase, I don't know. But it's also being like honest with yourself and even like other people. Like if that is like a relationship you don't see, or if it's like a way that you can fix your relationship, or if like, you know, it's something that you see lacking in your friendship with somebody, again, that you've been best friends with for 20 years. And you're like, now we can kind of do this a little bit better. Like I've recognized this, we could be better friends for each other this way. And that person also, you know, is on the same page and wants to work on the friendship with you. That is an amazing thing. But also sometimes it's not all like that. Sometimes people can, you know, act a little bit differently, treat you a little bit differently when you're healing and when you're learning things about yourself. And that is just something to recognize. Like I recognize that about people. I see it and I remember it. And, you know, I place them where they need to go in my life. So that is also another part of healing that I've recognized, that sometimes people are in our lives for seasons, for chapters. They're not going to be there for your entire life or for the entire book of your life. So place people where you feel like they go for as long as you feel like they're there for. Ooh, little guy on the screen. But yeah, I think that's mostly what I wanted to say. Again, I could keep going on and on, but I think I'm going to call it there and call it a day and going to go get some lunch. I usually get like Panera once a week and I haven't gotten this week and it's Friday. So I'm going to go do that. I think they have some new like sandwiches there. So I'm going to go give one of those a try. But I hope, you know, if you stuck around this long, I hope you like took something from that. I hope it was, you know, something maybe to hear for your own personal healing journey. Like these are things that I have learned the past 6 months, just again about pattern recognition, about learning about myself, recognizing things in the people around me, like generational, like family trauma, things like that, that I've sort of put a stop to, or am trying to, you know, like again, healing doesn't really have an end. There are things that we can become aware of in other relationships and new relationships in our life and new aspects of like different friends and stuff like that. So there are things that we can always learn about ourselves. But yeah, this is what I have been learning the past 6 months. I'm going to continue to learn and continue to share my notes and my knowledge about. So I hope you stick around for that. But if you don't, and you were sort of just here for a one-off today, enjoy your tea or coffee or hot cocoa or milk, warm milk, whatever you want to drink. But I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully. Bye for now.